Hello, everyone, and welcome to Royal Telly. I'm your host, Chloe. Let's dive into the fascinating world of royal narratives, where double standards are more common than you might think. The pro-royal media and its online supporters are quite the paradoxical bunch. They revel in broadcasting the Princess of Wales' every move, every change, every breath. Just recently, the princess's new hairstyle became the talk of the town, touted as a major pop culture event that broke the internet. The media adores painting her as the picture-perfect princess who garners attention for the simplest things, like stepping outside her palace. Yet the moment someone dares to critique this new look, which, let's be honest, does resemble an ill-fitting hairpiece, they transform into a horde of defenders, accusing critics of attacking a vulnerable young woman. Now let's just unpack this for a moment. The Princess of Wales, Kate, has been the subject of a passionate rant by her former hairstylist, Sam McKnight. He took to Instagram to condemn the nasty comments about Kate's new look, labeling them as evil. He went on to describe Kate as a vulnerable young woman who has no choice in her public life, even bringing her recent cancer treatment into the equation. This narrative, to put it mildly, is absurd. This is a woman in her 40s. She is neither a child nor a vulnerable young woman as the media portrays her. She is the Princess of Wales, one of the world's most influential women, backed by a team of staff and public relations experts. She is not some damsel in distress locked in a tower. And let's not forget that this isn't just about a questionable haircut. It opens up a broader conversation about the impact of 14 years within the royal institution. It's about the unyielding pressure to appear perfect, to never reveal a flaw, to be the delicate English rose at all costs. The media's depiction of her as a perpetually young, flawless icon does her a tremendous disservice. After all, everyone ages, but the media's impossible standards make it difficult for her to do so gracefully. It seems the royal media wants to have their cake and eat it too, doesn't it? Let's dive into this vulnerable young woman narrative that's being pushed. Now, you may remember the Instagram post of Princess Diana's former hairstylist, Sam McKnight, where he vehemently condemned the nasty comments about Kate's new hairstyle. He dubbed these comments as evil and painted Kate as a vulnerable young woman with no choice in her public life, even referencing her recent ordeal with cancer treatment. Now let's step back and examine this narrative. Kate is a 43-year-old woman, not a child. She's not a vulnerable young woman as portrayed. She is the Princess of Wales, one of the most influential women globally, with a robust team of staff and public relations experts at her disposal. She is not some damsel in distress locked away in a tower. This narrative isn't just about a questionable haircut. It's a part of a broader conversation about the impact of 14 years in the royal institution on Kate. It's about the immense pressure to be flawless, to never show a sign of weakness, to be the delicate English rose at all times. The media's portrayal of her as an eternally young, impeccable icon is doing her an enormous disservice. When you see a non-retouched photo of her, you see the signs of age and stress. That's perfectly normal. We all age. However, the media's unrealistic standards make it impossible for her to age gracefully in public. This vulnerable young woman narrative has been weaponized against another royal figure too, Meghan Sussex. The hypocrisy is quite astonishing. At 36, Meghan was labeled as a dusty old maid when she married Prince Harry. When she suffered a miscarriage at 39, she was vilified and mocked. There was no outcry to stop the nasty comments or to label her a vulnerable young woman. In fact, Prince Harry pointed out the constant media stress as a probable factor in the miscarriage. The contrast in treatment is stark and staggering. So, when we look at this narrative, we must consider the context and the power dynamics at play. Kate is far from a helpless figure, wouldn't you agree? But this isn't just about a bad haircut, is it? No, it's about a much larger conversation. It's about the relentless pressure to look perfect, to appear as the immaculate, delicate English rose that the media and the public expect. The weight of perfection is a heavy crown to bear, and it's one that Kate, the Princess of Wales, has been carrying for 14 years. In the public eye, she is constantly scrutinized. Every move, every outfit, every strand of hair is under the microscope. It's an impossible ideal, an ideal that is not just about physical appearance, but also about demeanor, about the way she talks, the way she walks, the way she interacts with the world. It's an ideal that is not humanly achievable, and yet she is expected to meet it. The media's portrayal of her as an eternally young, perfect icon isn't helping. It's a narrative that they've spun, a narrative that is far from the truth. Yes, she is a beautiful woman, but she is also a woman who has lived, who has experienced life, who has faced challenges and overcome them. She is a woman who, like all of us, has aged, and there's nothing wrong with that. Aging is natural, aging is human. But the media, with their airbrushed photos and their glowing descriptions, make it seem like aging is a flaw, a failure. When you see a photo of her that isn't retouched, you see the signs of age and stress, and that's perfectly normal. Everyone ages, everyone has stress. But the media's impossible standards make it impossible for her to do so gracefully. This is not a vulnerable young woman narrative. This is a human narrative. This is a narrative about the pressure to be perfect, about the unrealistic expectations that are placed on women, particularly women in the public eye. It's a narrative that needs to change. The media's impossible standards are doing Kate a grave disservice. And it's time we start recognizing that. And then there's the treatment of Meghan Sussex. Let's delve into the glaring hypocrisy of the media's approach towards Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, a stark contrast to their treatment of Kate. Meghan Sussex, an accomplished actress and philanthropist, stepped into the royal limelight when she married Prince Harry at the age of 36. But the media, instead of celebrating her achievements, chose to label her a dusty old maid. This derogatory term not only disrespected her, but also reflected a deeply ingrained bias. A woman's worth is not defined by her age, and yet the media chose to belittle Meghan's accomplishments and reduce her to an ageist trope. Fast forward a few years to when Meghan at 39 suffered an unthinkable tragedy, a miscarriage. Instead of extending empathy and support, the media took this as another opportunity to vilify and mock her. The same media that rushed to protect Kate from nasty comments about her hairstyle were conspicuously silent when Meghan was subjected to cruel and insensitive remarks during one of the most heart-wrenching moments of her life. In fact, Prince Harry has been vocal about the role that constant media stress likely played in this personal tragedy. Yet, there was no outcry from the pro-royal media or their cheerleaders. There were no Instagram posts calling her a vulnerable young woman and demanding an end to the nasty comments. The hypocrisy is nothing short of breathtaking. The media's double standard is glaringly apparent. On one side, Kate, the Princess of Wales, is infantilized and protected from criticism at all costs. On the other, Meghan Sussex, a woman of similar age and status, is subjected to relentless scrutiny and ridicule. Both women are strong, accomplished, and are navigating life in the public eye. Yet one is shielded while the other is thrown to the wolves. The contrast in treatment between Kate and Meghan is staggering. This glaring hypocrisy reveals a troubling bias in the media's narrative and how it shapes public perception. It's a conversation we need to keep having until the media is held accountable for its role in perpetuating these harmful narratives. So, where does this leave us, dear viewers? We've taken a journey today, peeling back the layers of the royal narrative and its glaring double standards. We've seen the contrast between the media's portrayal of Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, as an eternally young, flawless icon, and Meghan Sussex, who has faced an undue amount of scrutiny and criticism. It's a stark reminder of the pressures these women face in their public lives and the impossible standards they're expected to meet. Let's not forget, these are women in their 40s, not some frail damsels in distress. They are powerful, influential figures with teams of experts at their disposal. They are not helpless, and it's time we stop painting them as such. It's not fair, it's not right, and it's certainly not doing these women any justice. The narrative of the vulnerable young woman is a convenient tool that the media uses to control the narrative. It's a weapon they wield to silence critics and deflect from serious discussions about the impact of the royal institution on these women's lives. We've also delved into the impact of the relentless pressure to look perfect and to be the delicate English rose. This pressure is not only unrealistic, it's harmful. It erodes self-esteem, fosters insecurity, and perpetuates a culture of ageism and sexism. And let's not forget the glaring hypocrisy towards Meghan Sussex. The same media that is quick to defend Kate's new look was equally quick to vilify Meghan for her experiences. The contrast in treatment is not only evident, it's staggering. We need to challenge these narratives, these double standards, and these impossible standards. We need to stand up for these women and all women who are constantly scrutinized and criticized in the public eye. We need to demand better from our media and from ourselves. So let's continue these conversations, let's keep questioning, and let's keep pushing for change. Because change is not only necessary, it's overdue. Thank you for joining us today on Royal Telly. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Chloe, signing off.